there, my name is Irene, and in this video, we are going to continue working with our multi-story residential building, and we're going to be adding the additional details such as doors, windows, internal walls, and stairs. So let's get to it. So in our previous video, we generated the main shell, and by this I refer to the walls, floor, and roof. Before I start bringing up the rest of the architectural elements, one thing that I would like to do is make this floor slab same as this one. Although it is not specified in the PDF, because we're going to be making the stairs, I think it might work better with the formula if those two slabs are the same. So once again, whenever you want to change those heights, what we're going to do is use the same little trick that we did last time, LL for level. We're going to make sure to check off plan views. We're going to create our second little level for reference. And then what I want to do is first thing first, select this slab and change it to well, before I do that, I just want to check how much. Oh yeah, it was 8 feet total. So now I'm going to come here and change my slab to the custom size that I created. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same math that we did before. I'm going to select this level here, and I'm just going to change this value so it's the 8 feet that it needs to be. That's it. Again, this is just going to come in handy when we start working with the stairs, because stairs are pretty much automated in Revit. So with that out of the way, let's go to our basement level to create the missing remaining walls, columns, doors, windows, and staircase elements. Okay, so first thing first, let's do the walls. So we're going to go same trick as before. We're going to measure how much our walls are. 5 inches. Of course, there's going to be a lot of customization if we're going to be working with existing elements. So we're going to go WA. And let's see if we have a 5-inch wall. Yes, we do. Fantastic. One less thing for me to do. Let's switch our location line to. Doesn't really matter if you're doing finished face interior or exterior at this point, because you are inside regardless. So instead, it's going to be more of a matter of what reference line you want to pick. That being said, still make sure that your reference goes to the main floor. And I'm going to go here and click from here to, oh, why is it still in the center line? Finish face interior. Let's click here and put it there. Now, one thing that you need to be careful when you start adding walls after you've set up your floor, because we have made it so our walls go to the main level, you need to make sure that they are not going through your ceiling. So we might need to do some adjustments. We might need to add a little bit of an offset. So the way that you can verify that is by going on your 3D view, and you can either hide geometry or you can use the section box. I'm going to be using the section box out of convenience. And I'm just going to bring this guy down. Aha. See what's happening? Your wall is going all the way to the level, which is not what we want. So what do we do in this case? Well, very easy. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to our basement. I'm actually going to delete this wall to show you the proper way to tackle this, because these are the kind of things that it is better to tackle it as a preventive solution instead of having to fix it each and every time. So basically, all we really need is to know what is the thickness of our slab, and then we're just going to give an offset, a negative offset to the top of our wall. That is going to be the thickness of our slab. And then if in the future the thickness of our slab changes, we just need to change the thickness of our wall as well. So my slab is 15.5. So what we're going to do is go to our basement. We're going to go WA. And what I can do here is, as you can see on the top constraint, I can give it an offset here. So what I can do is do negative, and that is going to make it go under that height. So minus 15.5 inches, enter. That's how much it was, right? Like I already forgot. Yes, 15.5. Perfecto. So we're going to go WA, and see now when I create my walls, is going to by default want to stop before it touches the slab. So again, I'm going to draw this one more time. But what you're going to see if I turn on my section box now is that my see, my wall doesn't go all the way to the top, and instead it's going to stop right under my slab, which is exactly what you want. Again, the most important thing, even if you don't know what your geometry is actually made of, what is the composition, you always need to ensure that your geometry is not clipping into other geometry. That's the one big no-no. So with that wall out of the way, I can make this. I wonder if this is a half wall. I have a sinking suspicion because I don't see it in the main floor. There is a chance that this is not a wall and it's a half wall, which serves as railing. I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to leave it off for now. I will create this one here. So let's see what info we got. We got that it's 10 inches. We do have a 10-inch wall. So we're going to choose our 10-inch. And again, remember to set that offset. So minus 15 and a half. It will, oh God, feet, minus 15 and a half inches. These will reset every time that you change the type. But once you set it, it should stay. Here it's telling me 4 feet and a half above finished floor. So that means that we have a half wall. Okay, so we're going to do that as well. This wall is a different thickness though, 7 inches. I don't think I have a 7-inch wall, which means that we're going to have to make our own wall. Not a problem, duplicate. 7. This is one of the reasons that I recommend doing separate finished walls as a type that just gets layered in front of architectural walls. You can see how many types of architectural walls you can have just based in the thickness within a single project. If you have to add on top all of the different finishes variations that you may have within a project, you're going to go insane if you try to like have one for each variation. It's just not really feasible. So, okay, so we have our wall, and then basically what we have is an opening. So what I'm going to do here is just make it as an opening. So for that, we're going to go architecture. We're going to go for a wall opening. And with this, I'm pretty straightforward, like at first, like I'm just going to, put it anywhere because I can always manually adjust it. So we're going to go and align the end of the wall with this guy. And then I'm going to use this dimension line for my second offset. If we go to my 3D view, just so we can see how this is coming along, we are going to turn on our section box again, and I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, There we go. See, so right now my opening is going all the way from the bottom to the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it the offset that it was requiring, which is a 4 feet 4 inches. So my base offset is going to be 4 feet 4 inches. Enter. There you go. God, I wonder what that is. Yeah, that makes me really think that the other one is a half wall. But I'm going to leave it open for now because we're going to be making our stairs and you have so many more options with stairs in Revit. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. So we're going to go back to our basement. And the only thing that we are really missing from the wall architectural element is this little column here. So we are going to go DI for dimensions. And how much is this column? That's 14 by 13, of course, just to make my life harder. So we're going to go with an architectural column. The main reason that I'm choosing an architectural column versus a structural column is because the architectural column will take on whatever finishes my wall has. And I'm not doing structural analysis or anything of that nature here. I also don't know if it is maybe like a stack column. I don't know enough information. So an architectural column will serve the purposes of the column that I currently need. The size is not correct, so we are going to create our own column, which was 14 inches by 13 inches. And we're going to set up our dimensions. Whoops, 14 inches by 13 inches. There we go. Apply OK, and now let's place that column. If you cannot currently see the column, let's see why. It is going to the main floor. I wonder why. And it is height, and we're in the basement. So you know what? I'm just going to place it, and we're going to see where it's landing. Oh, okay, there she is. I don't know why it's not previewing it for me, but it is there, so that's good. So we're going to go AL, align to the wall, and then align to the top. That's it. Interesting. Let's put it there. Oh, I think I may have turned it wrong. There you go. Ooh, wait a second. What is this? 13 by 14. Did I not change the dimensions? Or is it just like the accuracy? 14 by 13? All right, something must be off somewhere. Not something that I'm going to bother myself with. It's probably like half an inch or something like that. Finally, if you want to have, within the internal spaces, before we get into the windows and doors, if you want to have just some additional objects, you can bring in the furnace, you can bring in the heater, you can bring in these electrical panels if you want to. I'm not going to be doing it for the intents and purposes of these projects, but if you wish to do it, the places where you can find those kind of elements is if they are preloaded, you will find that under systems. So they are going to be, see, like, for example, you can go to electrical equipment. You can go for plumbing equipment. See, like plumbing equipment, this is where you're gonna find your heater, water heater, and for the furnace, that is gonna be mechanical equipment. But the thing is that because we're working with an architectural stock / default template, it is very likely that there will be no families loaded, which then means, yeah, see, which then means that you just have to go and search it on the libraries. So again, I'm not gonna be really interested in loading that in this project. So with that out of the way, we can get started with our doors and windows. So I'm going to start with the windows. And the thing that you may notice is that because I have my Revit walls, I can no longer see my AutoCAD drawing, which I need to know where to put my windows. I could use these dimensions here, actually, but I don't really like that. Like sometimes it can get a little bit messy. So if you want, there's two things that, if you want to see the AutoCAD drawing underneath, there's two things that you can do. Thing number one, you can go to your your visual style. What is it? Visibility. What is the name of this one? Visual styles, yes. And you can switch to wireframe. Now, I don't like this option because the thing is that then I can no longer see my Revit walls, which is also a problem. So instead, what I like to do in these cases is go to VG for visibility graphics, go W for walls, and I like to override the transparency of my walls. I like to set it up to something like a 50. And what that is going to do basically is make it, oh my God, just go to 50, thank you. And what that's going to do is make so my walls are somewhat see-through. So I can still see where my Revit walls are, but I also can see where my AutoCAD walls are. And what we can see here at a glance, I just want to take a quick look at my PDF references. So my basement has single panel, single panel, single panel, double panel, double panel, and single panel, single panel, single panel. So what I'm going to be doing here is using a fixed window for most of them, and I'm going to see if I can bring in a sliding window for the other ones, although it could also be one of those new German windows that it just kind of like pivots down a little bit. So we'll see what the Revit library has to offer and take it from there. Because we're working with existing architecture, if it is not a part of your design proposal, unless it is a super important part of the design, you can kind of like, you know, fudge the values a little bit. It's not that life or death. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go WN for Windows. And as you can see, the default option that you have a fixed panel, so it's like a single panel. You have a casement double. Now, the thing with the casement double is that it like opens like this, and that kind of window is no longer really used. So I would go either with sliding windows or I would go with like fixed panel and a pivot window. So again, we're going to see what's available for us in the library. I'm going to start with the fixed windows just because it's the easiest one. So all we need to do is, once again, you can try to see if the dimensions that you have here are the dimensions that you have here. So we don't, well, we have 36, but the height is 6'3". You know what? Let's just make our own custom windows. It's going to be so much easier that way. So when you're making windows in Revit, what you want to pay attention to is the height. You have the default of the cell height, and then you have your width. So I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to go 3 feet W by, whoops, by, why does it, there you go, by 3, 6 S, so that's my sill height, by 6 feet 3, that is my height of my window. So we're going to say yes, and now we're just going to fill this in. So the width is fine. The sill height needs to be 3 feet 6, and the window height is going to be 6 feet 3. And with that out of the way, now all we need to do is place our window. If it's not placing exactly where you want it, don't panic, just place it. And then what you can do is you can always manually align it. But like I can see that this guy placed pretty well. The other thing that you would notice about AutoCAD windows versus Revit windows is that Revit windows tend to be quite offset towards the outside. This is better for waterproofing. But if you want to be perfectly accurate to what is shown in CAD, the way that you can edit that is by going back to the edit type, and you will find that as the, let's see, window inset. So it's this value here. So this value is basically the distance from the wall to from the exterior wall to the window, because that's basically how we measure it. So if you want it to be a little bit further inset, you're going to have to basically figure out what is the thickness of the wall divided by half. So it's a little bit annoying because what you can see is that it's not going to be consistent on every wall. So personally, I like to leave this guy here. It is better either way. Anyway, now we have here, you can see that it is the same window, I think. I'm not sure if my width is 3 feet. It is, which means that I can just go WN and place exactly the same window. See, this is why I don't like to change the inset, because the inset is going to be the same, should be the same in every window. Now, this one is different. Let's see, do we have any other? No, just those two. And now we're going to create a new variation, which is going to be this guy here. And we're going to go edit type, and we're going to duplicate. And now my width is going to be 4 feet 7 inches. My height is going to be 4 feet 9, 4 feet 9 inches. And my regular height is going to be 6 feet 5. And we're going to delete this too, and we're going to delete that extra. And now we're just going to, once again, adjust. So height is going to be 6'5". Just need to change this a bit. My sill height is going to be 4'9", 4'9", and the width of my window is going to be 4'7". Apply, okay. And now we're going to put it, I don't know whether some of them are not showing. Oh, this is an interesting one. If we go to the 3D view, you will see that the window is there. So why is it not showing? So the reason that it's not showing is because the cutting plane of your view. Basically, if we go back to our basement, what you're going to see is that with every floor plan view, you basically have like the height of the level, but the point at which Revit cuts your level to look down is set up. And because this window is so high, 4'9", what's happening is that the window is above the cutting plane. You're going to see that if you go to your view range, see, my view range is 4 feet, which means that my window is above that cutting plane. Now, there's two things that you can do to solve this. One is that you can just increase your cut plane height. So I could set it up to 4'10", 5 feet. I don't like doing this because 4 is the standard. So what we can do is we can actually introduce an exception. And what that is going to do is basically all of your cut plane is 4 feet, except this one little area. So let's see how we can do that. So to do that, we're going to go to View. And this is going to be, let me see if I can find it. Yes, so this is going to be under the, I think it's plan region. I think so. Yes, plan region. And it doesn't need to be super precise. I'm just going to make it a little window like this. And basically what I can do is come here and see, I can set up my view range and say, okay, in that little area, my view range is going to be 5 feet. And when I say apply OK, and I finish, what's going to happen is that now I can see that window. If you don't want to see these outline here, you can, I think you can hide it. Let's see if we can hide it. Yeah, you can hide it, and then it's not showing the outline, but you can still see its effect. So that is a very easy way to kind of like have your cake and eat it. So your entire plan has the same view range that is standard, and then we're just basically creating an exception. We're probably going to need to do the same thing here with the floor, because these door, you can see that it is at a certain height. This 6'8" is probably 6'8" from this level here. Let me see here what it's telling me, 6'8". Yeah, I think that this height of 6'8" will be from this level here. So I might need to, I'm going to set my door. What is the width of my door? Distance to it. Oh, okay, so it's this number here. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be bringing in a door, DR for door. Now, by default, you only have the single flush, which is, I would describe it more as a residential door, like an interior room door, not so much an exterior door. So I'm going to load a different door. We're going to go in English Imperial, doors, and because we're working with a residential space, and I just want to be a little bit fancy, I'm going to go with residential doors. So you can see that here you have a few more options, and I'm going to go with something that would be nice for a basement. I always like those doors with a little bit of like an entrance of natural light. Let's see. Do we want to do anything bougie? Just like interior. Yeah, see, you have interior versus exterior doors. I'm gonna go with this door. I think it's kind of cute. We're gonna go okay. And we said 28, that's 28. 28 plus 4, that's 32. 32. How much is 32? Okay, here we go. 32 by 80. I want a taller door. I hate when they're just 80 inches. Let's make it 32 by 84. Neither too big nor too small, just right. Okay, so I'm going to load my door, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it an offset from the basement level of 6 feet 8 inches. So you can see here sill height. So that's what we're going to work with. So this is going to be 6 feet 8. Because it's a basement door, so that means that it's like halfway through. We're going to go a little bit in, and then I'm just going to place my door. Once again, don't worry if you don't see it immediately. That is because of the view range situation, exactly the same one that we had with the window. So exactly the same, I'm going to use my plan region. I'm going to make a little exception here, so to speak. I might extend this exception when we get to our stairs. But for now, I'm just going to come here and say, if that was 6, 8, let's give it a view range of 7. And then apply, and then okay, and then yes. And there is my door. Once again, we're going to hide this view element, and there is my door. I'm going to finish up by aligning it here, and you can see that I need to flip the direction of my door. Beautiful. Oh, it kind of, oh, I didn't align it correctly. There you go. Beautiful. And what you're going to see if you go to the 3D view is that this is, see, like the door is not all the way in the basement, not all the way in the main floor. It's halfway there, which again, it's very common with basements. So with that, wait a second. Aha, I have a little bit of a problem. Can you see what the problem is? My window height is cutting into my slab. So what that means, and I always get mixed up about this, so this is different people take dimensions differently. So basically what's happening here is that this dimension that you see here is always measuring from the floor. So it's from the floor to the bottom of the window, it's 3 feet, 3.6. From the floor to the top of the window, it's 6.3. The problem with that is that the way that Revit does the dimensions of the windows is that it measures from the floor to the bottom of the window, and then from the bottom of the window to the top of the window. So that is why it's so tall. So what we're going to need to do here is math, my mortal enemy. So to do that, I'm just going to subtract. So we have, Jesus Christ, I'm going to do just a little bit. God, I hate math. 3 feet plus, I'm going to open parentheses. No, 3 feet is 36 inches plus 6, that's 42. And then this is going to be subtracted with 6 feet is 60, 70, 72. 72 plus 3 is 75. My brain hurts. So we need to subtract 72, 75 minus 33. Jesus Christ. 75 minus 33. Minus 33. No. Plus 75. That's 42. So our actual window height is 42 inches. So window height, 42 inches, which is actually 3.6. And what we can do here is if you want to be super accurate, you can rename the window. I'm going to leave it with this name because it's like basically what we have in the PDF. But yeah, we're going to have to do math. Hate it. And when we do this change, the nice thing is that because it's a type family, both of my windows that are the same type are now corrected. So now I need to do the same thing with this guy over here. So basically what we're going to do once again is we need to basically measure from the floor up. So we're just going to like subtract from this value over here. So we're going to say again, math, 48 plus 9. And then we're going to subtract that from 6. We said that was 72 plus 5. 20. So we need to subtract 20. So that is going to be 72 plus 5 minus 20, 57. 57. Height, 57. Y. All right. And if we go here, ooh, it's still too high. I wonder. No, it should be fine because it's 6'5", which goes to, you know what, I'm so silly, I can cheat again, as always. So let's go. This is the east elevation. And again, I can use reference lines. I can use whatever I want to figure this out. I'm gonna actually use 2D lines. And I'm basically gonna put one line, two lines, and I'm just gonna measure them to be the dimensions of the window. So we said that it's 4965. So 49, and then 65. This guy, I can drag my temporary dimension here and say 6'5". So 4965, 4965, and I can just now measure here. There you go, 1/8. God, I'm awful at math. 1/8. 1/8. Apply. Okay, yeah, that's so much easier than me suffering through mathing. Let's actually do the same thing with the other windows because now I don't trust myself. So we said we're gonna go with our detail line, and we're gonna put this guy here. We're gonna put this guy here, and we said that the heights were 3663. God, just to drive me crazy. 3663. So 3, 6. That's good. And now 6, 3. I'm awful on this. So the actual height of our window is 2.9. I'm terrible at imperial. I don't like imperial. Sorry, what did I say it was? It's 2.9. 2.9 is the right size. 2.9. God, I'm awful. Apply, and then yes. Okay, so these are our actual windows. God, that took way too long. I'm not proud of myself. And here's my south wall. Now, don't worry about this one. This is okay. What needs to happen here is that we're gonna need to make exceptions in both our wall and our slab for the fact that we're gonna have a staircase and an opening and whatnot. In fact, like that's what we're gonna do now that we're gonna be moving onto the main level. So yeah, we have all the elements that we needed for our basement. So what I like to do when I finish is go back to my wall settings, clear the override, and then apply OK. And you should see your structure starting to take shape. So let's move on to the main floor and do the same thing. So now it's going to be rinse and repeat. What I'm going to do here is that I'm going to start speed up. And I'm only going to pause if there's anything relevant that I need to bring up. So for example, when we start working with the sliding or like, the double windows, but otherwise it's going to be exactly the same thing that we did. So I'm going to speed up, start with the windows, and then stop back when we get onto the new stuff, so to speak. All right, so see you in a bit. Okay, so I have added my windows here. If we go to our, this is going to be the west elevation. As you can see, I took the dimension, and you can see that they are the same height overall, but these three are just 1 inch higher than that one there. Why? God knows. So that is the same that we did before. Now we're going to start working with a few different things. So the first thing that I want to do is make sure that my door is showing here. And by that, I don't just mean like I can see the door in my floor plan, but that's not what I'm concerned with. What I am concerned with is the fact that in the 3D view, my wall is not recognizing the existence of the door. So what I'm going to do here, there's a couple of different ways that you can tackle this. I'm going to temporarily hide my DWG so I can clearly see when the job is done. Okay, perfect. So see, like you can see the door here, but the wall is not really recognizing it. And by that, I mean that the wall is not being cut by the door because the door is attached to its host, which is the basement door. So the way that you can solve this is by going to architecture, and we're going to create another wall opening. So again, I'm just going to make this guy like whatever width right now. I'm not super concerned because I'm going to align it to my door. So I'm going to go AL, door, here you go, door, here you go. See? So if we now go to our 3D view, you're going to see that now we are cutting through the door. So what we need to do is just make sure that the height is cutting to where the door is. So for that, I can just use my align tool to the top of the door. That's it. Now, I still need to fix my slab. Don't worry about it. We are going to do that one when we get to the stairs because the stairs are going to define where the opening of my slab will be. Okay, so for now, we're just doing walls. I'm ignoring slab. Okay, back to my main floor, and I need to see my reference DWG again. All right, and now we are going to get started with our double windows. I'm gonna build this wall here. It seems like they want to have a door there, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm just gonna do this little bit of wall here. 4 inches, Jesus Christ, every wall is a different size. Isn't that fun? And I don't have a 4-inch generic. So one new wall, this is gonna be generic 4 inches. Goodness gracious. 4 inches. And once again, remember what we need to do is we're going to keep the wall from the main level to the second level. But what we're going to do in this case is subtract the thickness of my slab, which was, if I remember correctly, 15.5, but I'm not sure. So let me verify. Yes, 15.5. So back here, back to my wall. It's going to the second floor with a top offset. Perfect. It already has it. So now all I need to do is draw my wall. And once again, once you're in the interior, it doesn't really matter if you're drawing the wall, like which side you're picking, because both of them are the interior side. If I go here and I drop my section wall a little bit, just to see, make sure, yeah, my wall is not going all the way to the top of my slab. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Great. So going back to my main floor, we're going to bring a few more elements. So the first one is going to be these double windows. So again, you could use the casement, like the double casement that Revit gives you, but I don't like that. So I'm going to be using instead either a double window, like a sliding window, or a window with a fixed panel, and the other one is a pivot. So for that, we are going to go into our window options, and let's see what we've got. Curtain wall awning. I could also do a curtain wall this. That's a little bit too custom for what we're doing here. Window fixed. These are skylights. Double awning horizontal. That's what we have. Double awning vertical. Window awning single. Triple awning. Ooh, that is your typical condo window. Am I gonna have to use the... Wait, is it casement double or awning double that you get with here? Casement double. Oh, so you know what? We might be able to do the awning double. Never mind. Let's see how this guy's gonna look like. Window awning double or horizontal. Yeah, I think that guy will get the job done. Yeah. Hung. Oh, maybe hung. No, that's not what I want. That's, and then we have the fixed ones. No, I think it's gonna be the double awning. Ooh, that's not what I want. Window casement, bay casement, awning, double horizontal. I think it might be this guy. Okay, again, I'm only gonna load one because I'm gonna be making all of my custom sizes, so I don't care about what I get at first. So we're gonna let this guy come in, and yeah, this is what we want. See, it looks nice and clean in the floor plan. I don't see that. I don't want to see that awning thingy. So we are going to now create our own custom size. So oops, WN, and this guy's gonna be, let's do some math again. So we have sill 26, height 611. 26611. So we're gonna go to our south view, 26611. We're gonna go annotate, detail line, 2, 6, 6, 11. 2, 6, 6, 11. 2, 6. And then this guy, we're going to drag it here. 6, 11. Oh, that's a pretty tall window. And the actual height of the window will be 4, 5. Okay. So back to our main floor. And we're going to make our window WN, edit, type, and this is going to be, I don't think I want a muntin. The muntin is, if I'm correct, is like the grid inside the window. I don't think I want to see that. I'm going to leave these materials as they are. So, okay, so my width is going to be 511. My height is going to be, I already forgot, and I cannot change, so I'm going to leave that for now. And my, oh, so I can just set the height, because it's a different family. So that's okay. I'm going to go here and say yes. Oh, I did not make unique. Crap. Undo. Undo. Okay, I think this is now correct. It should be, yes, 48, and this is on. Okay, perfect. So let me just quickly check what was my height. 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Edit, duplicate, and this guy is 5, 11, 5, 4, 5. Okay, and then we're going to say no muntin, and we said that the width was 511 by 4, 5. And what you're going to see is that with this kind of family in particular, you have the additional information here. So the sill height is going to be determined on the instance parameter. So we don't have like a default height, so to speak. So my sill height is 2.6. You again have like the window inset properties. I would probably want to match it to whatever we have with these guys, which was, I cannot remember, 3/4 of an inch. I want to match that 3/4 of an inch just for consistency property purposes. Exterior trim, interior trim. I do want to see exterior wall closure, interior. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to put this guy here. And then I'm going to manually align it because I always do that. Okay. That's perfect. And when we go to the 3D view, there is my beautiful window. Ooh, does it go all the way to the ceiling? No, it goes a little bit. Okay, perfect. That's what I want to see. Perfect. So there is my window. You can see that these ones are a little bit more elaborate. They have like nice base. Yeah, kind of nice. All right, cool. I could do, let's see, can I change more? If I do the month in, that is the, yeah, I don't want to see that, gross. Yeah, let's leave them like this. I think this is interesting enough. Yeah, for the time being, I can always change it later. So back to my main floor, and let's do our other window, which is a different width because of course, and a different height because it's also of course, although no, 2.6, 2.4, 6.11, 6.9. Ooh, it's the same dimensions. For the height, it's just a different width and at a different height from the floor. Nice. So WN, edit type, duplicate, and it's just gonna be 6 feet by 4, 5. Okay. Then we're gonna go here 6. And then we're going to go apply and we're going to go okay, and we're going to put our window. Again, I'm not going to bother with the fireplace because there is a comment that the fireplace will move places. But if you're interested, usually what you do when you have a fireplace, so let's say that this guy is 8 inches. So usually what you will do is just select the wall and do kind of like a double wall. So I can come here and then just like after I do my first wall, I do a second wall, and that's it. That's your wall for your fireplace. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's verify the sill height for this guy needs to be 2.4. 2.4, beautiful. And now again, always go to your 3D view to verify how it's coming along. Okay, perfect. Literally just 1 inch difference, just to drive me crazy. And the last two things that we're missing are the entrance door and the back door. So my assumption is that because it's going to be a back door, I want it to be something with lots of glass to allow a lot of light in. And when you see something like this, there's two ways that you can do it because this is basically a door with a transom. So you basically have fixed glass panels on either side, sometimes on the top. So if these would be a commercial, public building, anything of that nature, I would do it with a curtain wall system and then replace one of the panels with a door. But because it's a residential system, it is a residential building, you can actually find on the residential doors, they have doors already with transoms. So we're going to use that. So same as before, we're going to go DR for door. We're going to load family, and we are going to search in our door library for residential doors. And what we want here, see, so you have these transoms that you can just bring in. So I think I'm going to use the same door, and then I'm just going to bring these transoms, this transom here. So I'm going to select my transom. I'm not super concerned about the size again, other than the width, the height, because I already selected that I wanted to go with 84 inches, because I'm going to set up my width myself. So let's see, what do we have here? The width of my transom is, oh, it's 12, so it should be fine. DR for door, and then I'm going to put my transom. I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one here. I might shift them. Yeah, that's going to shift like that. Whoops. I might shift them. I need to first bring my door in because the position of the door determines the position of the transoms. But if you go to the 3D view, this is what they look like. Aren't they pretty? Gorgeous. So we're going to come back here, and this is my door. Oh, this H is the door height. What? That's weird. So how do I know the height of this door from the floor? Oh, you know what? It's this guy. You silly goose. Easy. So there you go. See, this is why you need to pay attention to the information that you're given. This level here, so this is the landing of the stairs. So my door is going to be whatever the landing is. Usually a little bit higher, just like an inch or two. So 3 minus 3 minus 3 feet 8. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my north elevation, and I'm going to create a detail line that then I'm going to go minus 3. Well, no, I'm just going to go 3, 8. 3, 8. I don't need to create a level for this. You do not need to have a level for the door. But what I do need is to calculate how much this height is. 5, 8. So we're going to go here, and this is 5, 8. Okay, yes, now things make a lot more sense. What we need to do now, 3D view, first of all, fix our opening, align. Oh, no, because I need to fix my height. My height is 6'8", and I don't remember how much the height of my door is. Let's see. 6'8", height, 6'8". It's a little bit shorter. So we're going to go here, rename, and this is going to be 6'8" is 72, 72, 80. Ah, it's not high enough. I don't like that. Boring. Okay, fine. How terrible. How boring. So same thing with these guys. Although, no, I think those guys were a little bit higher. So here, 6'8" is 80. Well, DR for door. I'm going to use, I'm going to change this guy. So 6'8", 6'9", it's just 1 inch. So it's 81. Edit type. Rename. This is 81 inches. 81 height. Aw, I hate it. It's so short. Apply OK, and that has corrected my window, my door, my transom height. And now I'm going to be duplicating this door. So I'm going to use the same guy, but this guy here is the width the same? No, it's actually bigger. I'm going to measure my door opening. It's 3 feet, so door, edit, duplicate. This guy's going to be 36 by 81. And then I'm going to delete this. 36 by 81, 36 by 81. How uninspiring. And then I'm going to put my door here, space to flip it. Okay, so the most important thing, the most important thing is that your door opening matches, and then you can kind of like change your transom position and dimensions to make sure that it matches with the rest of the design. So here you can see that if I want my transom, because you don't want, like, for example, if I come here, let's see how this looks. If I align the edge of my transom, see how it shifts my door? It's not going to let me, because again, in Revit, you should never have overlapping geometry. Like if I try to bring this guy over here, it might cause some issues on the 3D view. Doesn't look terrible. See, you get a little bit of these like overlapping there, but you know what? We can fly with that. Yeah. And then it's going to be nice and accurate to our drawing. Okay, perfect. Go back here to my 3D view. That's looking great, lovely, beautiful. let's finish it up with this door here. What is the width of this door? God, these numbers make no sense. So let's measure it. 2, 8, 28 plus 4, 32. So it is a 32 by 80 door. And what I want to do here is get like a full glass door. I think I saw one of those here somewhere. Wasn't there? Do this door and then just turn off these like muntins. So we said 32 by 80. Okay. And let's place it. And again, you can always manually align it afterwards. And then again, what I want to do here is I don't want to see the muntin, so like the glow grill. So when I turn that off, this is what we get. Nice. Beautiful. Oh, my column here. See what's happening? My column is going all the way up to the next floor. So we're just going to do the same trick as before, minus 15.5 inches. There you go, fixed. These are the kind of things that you kind of have to be very careful with when you are adding more geometry to your existing model. And with that, I think we have all the elements of our main floor, except for the fireplace, because you may want to move it, and the stairs, which we're going to do last. So once again, we're going to go VG, W for walls, and we're going to remove our transparency override. And we're going to finish it up with the second floor. Now for the second floor, I'm just going to speed up the video because we've been here, we've done that. There's no need for me to like explain the whole thing all over again. So unless something interesting happens, we're going to move fast through this one. All right. So if you don't hear me, it's because everything was a little bit of the same. All right. Okay, so here just a little quick note for the walls in the second floor. It has to be 4-inch wall, and the one thing that I want to point out is that this is going to be a case where we no longer need that offset, because remember, the top of my room is no longer a floor, but a roof, and roofs are always extruded away from the level. So I no longer need to do any math. Incredible. So just remove that restriction, and then you're just going to create your walls. And again, at this point, it doesn't really matter interior or exterior wall because they're all the same, basically. And as you can see, this wall is a different thickness. Which one is it going to be? 6, that's okay. 6-inch wall. Again, make sure that you remove that restriction. And then we're going to draw our wall. And there we go. So if I go to my 3D view, you will see that there are your walls. But if I keep on sliding my section box, see, I don't have to worry about the wall clipping through the roof because the roof is extruded away from the level. Okay, so that was the only exception. I think everything else is going to be pretty straightforward. So again, I will get back to you. I'm going to speed up and I'll get back to you when it's time to do the stairs. All right, cheers. Okay, so another exception here are going to be these two windows. So if you look at these dimensions and you put them on the elevation, you're going to notice that our window is going far beyond where it should be. And that is because if we look on the second floor, there are two heights here for the landings. So this is telling us where our landings should be. So what we need to do in this case is basically set up those landings, and then our window is going to be this height from the landing. So our landings are going to be 3, 2, and then 5, 10. And again, remember, whenever you see the symbol, that is from grade 0. So 3, 2, 5, 10. We're going to go back to our elevation, and we can use our detail lines again because these are not like actual levels. So that's going to be 1 here. Let's put another 1 here. So one is going to be 3, 2, and the other one is going to be 5, 10 from the grade 0. 5, 10. Okay, now this might get a little bit confusing because what we're going to have to do here, let me do it like a little box just so we can better understand what the hell is going on. There you go. So instead of lines, I'm just going to do a little square. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little square, and this little square is going to be 7 feet 2 away from these two respective levels, 7, 2. So we're going to go back to our north elevation. And what I'm going to do is move MV. And I'm going to go bring it here, put it to my first level, just for reference. Anywhere is fine. And I'm going to count 7, 2 was the value? 7, 2. Yeah. North. So we're going to go MV, move it. Doesn't matter where I click because I'm typing a specific value, 7, 2. There you go. So that's going to be the position of our first window. And then the position of our second window, I'm going to go CO for copy, is going to be just in the second level. See? So your windows are kind of like trickling, following the staircase. Okay? So now that I have those values, that's going to be my sill height. So it's going to be 7 inches for one of them and 3 feet 3 inches for the other one from the second floor level. So 7 and 3, 3. Let's do this. Where am I? So from here, it's just the same window. It's just that we have new heights. All right, so muting again and returning for the stairs. Done. So as you can see, we have all of our doors, all of our windows, floors, roof, walls. The only thing remaining is going to be our stairs and their respective openings. Now, in the document, it clearly states that you can move the position of your stairs as long as they remain on the wall that they're on. But I'm going to operate on the assumption that you want to keep the stairs exactly where they are, just so I can demonstrate how to create stairs. If you later change your mind and you want to like do something differently, by all means, feel free to do so. So I'm going to start with the basement stairs. Just because usually when you're building stairs, what you want to do is you want to get as much visibility as possible. So one trick that I like to use is you can either go to the top floor and then change the view range so you can view the level underneath, or you can go the other way around and start from the bottom level and then turn on so you can see whatever is above. Either one is going to yield you about the same result. But I like to go with this one here because I want to be able to see the door here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to my view range, or I can do underlay. You know what? Let's do underlay instead. And I want to say that I want to see the basement. See? So now what I can see is the full template of my stairs. Now, when it comes to making, oh, and you can see that there's this wall kind of here picking through. You know what? Because of that, just because of I can see this detail here, I'm going to create that wall. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to quickly make it. This is what, a 4-inch wall. I'm going to go WA. I'm going to go 4-inch. Despite the fact that this wall is supposed to go all the way to the top, again, you're going to do the same top offset that we've done up to this point. 0.5 inches. There you go. And I'm just going to draw my little wall here. Oops, wrong side. There you go. That's better. Okay, so back here to my main floor, and I can basically get a nice view of the whole thing. Now, to make stairs in Revit, there are going to be 2 ways for you to do them. Number one, like the easy way would be to just go stairs. And basically you can just create a stair. Like for example, I'm not gonna get too fancy here. You can just go here and kind of like follow, you can stop, and then basically whatever you choose to continue, like it's gonna finish doing the stair. But you can see that this is not really, oh no, I'm doing them in the wrong place. Say no. Yes, cancel. Stairs. So sorry, before you start making it, you want to make sure that you're setting them for the correct level. So my base level is going to be the basement and my top level is going to be the main floor. So if you want to make them easy mode, you just follow this like central line that they give you. And what you want to do, and you can see that it's a little bit tricky to see, but you can basically count the steps. Now you may notice that your stairs are a little bit narrower, like the stairs in the CAD are a little bit narrower than the stairs in the Revit file. So we can adjust that either before or after. See, like here it's showing me kind of like the dimensions in general. So if we want to match them, there's two ways that we can do. So this is why I'm demonstrating this option. If you're going to be making your own custom stairs, you don't need to follow exactly what's in the drawing. So you can change them based on your preferences. But basically, you want to count the number of steps and have something that approximates. So I could come here and then just kind of like find this point here and then just do something like that. And you can see that it's not really counting the same number of steps. So what this is telling me is that we are working with basement stairs, and basement stairs usually have higher risers than regular stairs. They also can sometimes have shorter steps, which is kind of what you're seeing here. But in Revit, making stairs is pretty automatic. All you have to do is kind of like click where you want, anywhere that you leave a gap. So you click where you want to stop the steps, and whatever you restart, that's going to create like what we see here, which is a landing. To get a better view of your stairs, it's much easier to just use section box because you want to see them in 3D. That's really the only way that you can understand. Whoops, I'm in the wrong side. I want to see them from this side. Here, a little bit more, actually a lot more. Where are my stairs? Oh, yes, they are on this side. So why was I cutting through them? I must have been going really deep. Oh, okay, there they are. See, so there are my stairs. So the nice thing is that Revit does all of the calculations for you. The bad thing is that if it does all the calculations for you, you're not going to be able to have a lot of control of where that landing is, because Revit is going to say, well, based in the numbers that you've given me, this is how many steps you can have. So the other way that you can try, which is a little bit hit or miss, so I'm going to delete these stairs here, is by drawing the whole thing. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my main floor, and this one is a little bit hit or miss. Not my favorite method to make stairs. I prefer to start with standard stairs and then modify them to my specific needs. But basically what you can do is when you're drawing your own stairs, so you can create custom stairs from sketches, basically what you want to pay attention to is that there are three types of lines. There are boundary lines, which basically define the sides of your stair. There are riser lines, which define kind of like the steps of your stair. And then you have the stair path, which is kind of like the direction that your stair goes in. So just to demonstrate here, if I come here and let's say I'm going to come and say relative base height, extend, da, 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 da. So if I come here and say, okay, like let's say that my stair, just to demonstrate here on this side, I can come here and say, okay, so this is going to be the boundary of my stair, right? And then I can come here and say, I'm going to have these many risers. So I'm going to say one riser here, one riser here, and so on and so forth. You can see that it's telling me here how many more I need to create based on the, again, like the formula. Because the thing that you need to understand is that Revit will always automate, like Revit will always determine how many steps you need. You don't decide that. Revit decides it based on the formula of the total number of steps. So I'm fudging it here and just like making all sorts of shapes of steps just to make sure that I get the total number of steps that Revit is requiring for me. See, so you need to create steps until it says 0 remaining, and then you can say, okay, now I'm going to do the stair path, and the stair path is just basically from center line to center line, and then when you finish, that's going to give you your staircase, which then I can finish here. I can connect to levels in order to, no, I'm just going to leave this here and finish it here just to demonstrate. From, again, main floor to second floor. Again, by default, it's always going to want to make them from the bottom to the top. I like to draw my stairs from the top to the bottom. That's just the way I work. And if we go to the 3D view, what you can see is that you basically have like a custom size shaped stair. Again, not my favorite method. I much rather work with like the standard stairs from Revit and then just like fudge them a little bit. So what we can do instead is do some calculations and then edit the default staircase that Revit gives us. So to do that, what you're going to need is you're going to need the total number of steps that you have in the AutoCAD stair, and you're going to need the width of your step. Because with the total height and number of steps, we're going to determine how many, like the height of each step, and then we're going to be able to make our custom stair. So we are going to go to any of our elevations, and I basically need to get this height, which we said that is 9 feet 4. So 9 feet 4, I want to convert it to inches. So 9 by 12, that's 108 plus 4. That means that we have 112 inches. And what we need to do is we need to divide them from the top to the bottom. So like the number of steps. So what we're going to do is we are going to get to our main floor, and we need to count the steps here. So you have, starting from the top, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, I think 12. I'm going to assume that there's a step here and I just cannot see it. So 12. So if we divide this by 12, that's going to give me, oh, no, let me finish. Divided by 12, divided by 11, about 10 inches, between 9 to 10 inches. So let's make it that our riser is going to be 10 inches. And the depth of my step, you can see it here, is 8 inches. Is this by code? I'm not going to speculate. So I'm just going to go stairs. And basically what we can do is, again, we can create our own formula. So again, I'm going to set it up from the basement to the main floor. And what we're going to do here is the actual thread depth. You can come here and say, I want it to be 8 inches. And that's going to give you a much narrower step. But see what I'm getting here? Actual riser height is 6 inches. It's much, much smaller than what the number of steps that I'm getting requires. So I'm going to change the formula. Anytime that you see something grayed out, that means that this is going to be determined by a formula. I can also change the number of risers. So if I change this to, let's say, 12, that's going to change the number of my steps. If I change it to 11, that's going to change the number of, like the height of my risers. So let's do it 12. I think that like a 10-inch step, like riser is like, you're going to die. Riser greater than the maximum, that's fine. Okay, so we're going from the basement to the main floor, 12 steps, depth is 8 inches. And again, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm just going to use the standard stairs because I like to edit them myself. So I'm just going to follow the center line. The other thing that you can do, if you want to get a little bit more specific, you can change the location line of your runner. You can also change the offset, like the width of your stair, but I like to do that manually. So again, I just start here and see, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that there's one more here. Like at least that's what I'm counting on, although it's a little bit close. We might move this afterwards. So I'm going to bring it here, click, stop, and then I'm going to come back here where my stair starts again. And when I click, Revit will understand that it needs to create a landing in that entire space. And then I can bring my stairs, and there they end. Beautiful. All right, so now before we finish our stairs, this is when we can do adjustments. So for example, I can't see my landing, I think. No, there is my landing. Gorgeous. So what I'm going to do here, I don't know why I cannot see it. Let's say yes to the dress. And if I go to my 3D view, there is my new custom stair. Beautiful. Now, there's a few things that I need to change here. Like, it's kind of silly to have like handrail when you have a wall. So we're going to be doing something different. It's also kind of like, you can see that like my sizes are not properly set up. So right, there's our handrail right in front of my door. So clearly there's a lot of customization that needs to be done here. So now that we have a stair, we can start customizing it. So for this, I like to come back to my, I can change between the main floor and the second floor, depending on what is it that I need. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start by selecting my stairs and edit them. Because what I want to do now is I want to start changing certain stuff. So for example, I do not need to see these elements. These are the stringers. Yes. So these are, if we go to the 3D view, actually, let me do something. I'm going to isolate my stairs. So now you can just see them in all their glory in my 3D view. So to do that, you're going to right click, you're going to go here on the bottom where the glass is, and I'm going to isolate that category. So there are my stairs. And as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff here that I don't need because these are built into my walls. So for example, I don't need these kind of like element here on the sides on either of them. That would be like you need it structurally, but you don't need to see it in the floor plan. So I can either delete it or I can just stretch it so it's inside my wall. I prefer to delete it. So we're going to go back to our basement. And now that we are here with our walls, let's select and edit my stairs, edit stairs. There you go. Main floor. Here we go. So why can I not? Okay, I can select that. Why can I not select many of the elements? So you know what? Let's see filter. Let's say none. Stair supports. I think so. Why can I see nothing? How annoying. Let's reset. Why can I not see my stairs? You know what? Well, what can I do here to that? Oh, because I'm in my main floor. Of course, you silly goose. Edit. That's why. So this guy here, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see them. Okay. So with that out of the way, what I can do now is start kind of like shifting things a little bit. So I can, for example, bring this guy over here a little bit. Let's see, can we push? Yeah. I can push then this guy also there, and then I can push this guy here to fill in the wall, and then I can select my stair and stretch it a little bit here and stretch it a little bit there. Same thing here with my landing. Oh, my landing is already stretched there, so I just need to bring it down here to where my door is. I think I'm gonna actually use the, oh no, there's my wall, perfect. And then for this guy here, let's see it on the main floor. Yeah, this guy here, it's gonna be same story. We're gonna bring it just a little bit in. I think it needs to be there. That's okay. Actual run, blah, blah, blah. This guy's going to be a little bit narrower. I don't know if that is a handrail. I think that's supposed to be a handrail. Okay, so if I say yes, let's see how this is now going to look in the 3D view. So see, now we have a stair that it's white, and then it gets a little bit narrower. And now what we can start doing is working with the hand railing. So again, for that, you can either isolate the geometry or like do whatever it is that you want. I usually find it easier, again, using my section box to make it so I can basically just see my staircase. So I'm gonna bring this guy here because that's what I'm focusing on. There you go. Okay, perfect. So basically what you can see here is that you don't need railing everywhere, and the type of railing that you need is not necessarily this one. So what I like to do is actually, once again, make my own railing. So you can just select this guy, delete, select this guy, delete. So before I make my new railing, let's fix the opening. So now that you have the stairs, you can do the opening. So for my opening, I'm going to go to my main floor. I no longer need to see the underlay. So I'm going to say none. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create my opening. Now, usually your opening either can follow really closely your stairs, or it can, you know, kind of like meander a little bit, be a little bit more open. So in this case, it looks like it's pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is select my floor. I don't need to create a floor opening. I can just edit the floor boundary. And I'm going to go to my main floor and I'm going to edit the boundary. And what I want to do is follow the wall. So like where my door is, like remember, that's our door opening. We're actually going to make a cut on the wall because we don't want that little bit of slab. And then I'm going to follow my walls where they are. I'm going to leave that opening there a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it to whatever my stairs are. Not sure if that's the real stair or the fake stair. And the thing is that, like, see, I'm not cutting all the way to the end of the wall here. That's because, remember, you still have that like wall, slab, wall. So you do not want to leave an opening there. But here, where we have the door, we do. So we're going to use the SL split tool to cut this line into two. And then we're going to go TR for trim, 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 trim. And we're going to say yes. We can always unjoin, save. We can always later adjust the position of these different elements depending on what is it that we're doing. And if I go to my 3D view, let's see what we have here. There you go. Beautiful. See? Oh, am I on wireframe? Oh, no, I think my computer is just glitching a little bit. Yeah. So see, I'm cutting for my door. And again, now this is where I can use my align tool to better align the rest of my elements. There you go. Same thing here. Align that guy there. And then I can do the same thing here with my opening. I usually, like, you will want your stair edge to align to your wall to align to your edge of your stairs. There you go, nice. And then same thing here. Yeah, that one is just a little bit open. There you go, beautiful. Now, the other thing that you can see is that like my step is a little bit pushed back. So again, I can go AL, I think that's that. And then this guy, there you go. So that's gonna end like my stair, see how it comes nicely up to my floor. Beautiful. I hate this little bit here. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna leave it there for now. And I'm gonna just finish up by aligning my slab here to the wall. And that's it for this. The rest of them look pretty straightforward, pretty well aligned, so I can stop there. Is it though? No, it's not. I'm gonna align that to this. Ooh, that's not perfectly aligned, so you know what? We're gonna fudge it a bit. Who are you? Is it a gap? Not sure what that is. Visually incongruous. Oh, no, no, no. I want it aligned. Ah, that's why. That's okay. Let's leave it like this. I want this to be properly aligned to the door opening. You know what? L, tab, and this guy, there you go. And then we're just gonna leave, these guys need to go far back. There, there. Is that correct? That looks okay. All right, so with this done, we can now get onto the railing. So the thing is that you can actually have different kinds of railing in the same wall, on the same stair system, depending on whether you have wall or something else next to it. So it's a little bit complex, right? It's going to depend on like the needs of the project. I feel like, yeah, no, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is that for this first part, I need to have railing just so nobody falls and dies. So I'm going to need railing here, and I'm going to need railing here on the side. So the nice thing about Revit is that you can do railing just based on the, like, it doesn't have to be on a stair, so you can just do plain railing. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Now, first thing first, yeah, no, that's good. That's fine. So first things first, I no longer need my DWG, so I can go VG, and I'm going to hide it. Normally, I would recommend to delete it, but just in case you need it later or you want to verify some information, you can do that. Same thing here. I no longer need this guy, so I can go VG, turn all of these guys off, apply OK. See, and now I can start working with the placement of my elements. So I'm going to start here, and I need to create some railing to safeguard this area here. So the way that you can do that, first of all, you go there, thank you, and you go there. Thank you very much. All right, so first thing first, railing. You can see that you can create railing individually. Either you can sketch the path or you can place it on a stairs. In this case, we're going to start by drawing it on a path because it's on the slab. It's not really going to be following the stairs. So I'm going to draw my own railing. We can choose our railing type. Revit gives you a bunch of options. I think I want to go with the let's start with the handrail rectangular and take it from there. And your hand railing, you usually like, you can put it right on the edge, but sometimes it can look a little bit funny. So what I like to do is I want to start a little bit off, and then I can always move it. What is this line? Did I leave a riser thingy? Wait, what is going on here? My slab is not going where clipping into my stairs. So edit boundary. And we're going to go align, tab. Oh, beautiful. And then we're going to say yes. And then, would you like walls to go up to this floor level? Yes. Perfect. On join. Okay. There we go. Oh, why do you keep on moving? Oh, it's moving. Arrgh. It's moving my stairs. Why though? I'm not sure. So you know what? I'm going to leave it for now. This would require more finessing. Yeah, see, when I move this guy, I want to move this guy. That's what I want. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Yes. And then attach. And then unjoin. And then what we can do, there you go. Now that I have my railing here and I can see it, what I can do is I can edit the path because see, like the one problem is that you cannot see the line, and that drives me crazy. I'm gonna put it here, maybe what, like 1 inch? Let's give it an inch. Oh gosh, I did a foot. 1 inch, 1 inch. Yeah, and let's do 1 inch from here as well. 1 inch. There you go, beautiful. Yes, ooh, perfect. 3D view. There you go, see? So you have your railing perfectly aligned, protecting people from falling to their death. And again, now here you can just pretty it. So you don't like that one? Well, we also have this pipe, a little bit more modern. You have guardrail. I hate that one with a passion. You also have the same thing apparently twice. And you have the glass panel, which I think it's like, it feels very outdoorsy. So you know what? We're going to keep it classic with the handrail, rectangular. And I just need to do the same thing on the other side for this one. So back to my main floor, back to my railing. I'm going to sketch the path. And because I already know that I want it to be exactly 1 inch, I can actually create an offset of 1 inch and then just come here and draw space, flip it there, yes. And there you go. We have the two sides of my railing. Now, by code, this is not enough. You also need railing to be, oops, my alarm. You also need railing to be at the very least right next to here on this wall going to the door, to that landing. Why is this looking? Yeah, no, that's fine. So we need some railing to go here. Ooh, why don't we have, we should have some wall here. We should have some wall here. I do not want this open like that because then you're going to have to put some railing. Anyway, I'm getting inside my head. So what I'm going to show you is the other kind of railing, which is just kind of like, there's no hand railing. It's just like tube on the wall. It's just a handrail attached to the wall. And I'm going to be putting it on this side here. So you can see that option as well. So for that one, we are going to say placed on stair. So in that case, it kind of like places, where is it? Now you have the option of placing it where the steps are or where the stringer is. So the stringer is the thing that we deleted. Because we don't have a stringer, we cannot place it on the stringer. So we're going to place it on the threads instead. So I'm just going to click on my threads. And what that is going to do is, once again, just like detect the whole staircase. But what we can do is we can edit it. So what I want to do here is the following. Number one, I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to change them to be, there is another option. No, none of these. There is an option that is attached to the wall. It's like this, but without the railing. I think that, you know what, I think that might be a new Revit 2024 option. Let me see, because the other thing that we can do is kind of like create a custom one. So I can start with something like this guy, and then you can edit it. So like you get rid of some of the stuff that you don't need. So you could go into edit, duplicate, let's call it custom. And then you can actually, because it's a system, same as curtain walls, same as what other systems we have that are as complex as this. I think curtain wall is the closest one that I can think of right now, where you have like a totality that is made out of the addition of many little pieces. So there you go. See, so for example, your stairs are made out of a rails, balusters, a bunch of different things. So see, for example, if I come here and I get rid of the top rail and I apply, oh, I think, wait, let me apply, okay. Oh, there you go. I need to set that up. There you go. So now this is my custom railing. So see, if I turn off that top rail, let's see what that's going to do. There you go. It's going to get rid of it. That's what I want. And then you have your handrail, which you can set up like the position and then the type. There's a bunch of different types that you can choose from. Again, stairs are extremely complex. See, you can go into the handrail type. You have a few ones. So there you go. This is what I want. I want a rectangular wall mount. And then this is going to change a bunch of things. So for example, the profile, like the height, clearance, the transition, how it transitions, if you have an extension from it, the terminations, non-supports, support metal circular. Okay, yeah. We're going to say apply. We're going to say okay. And if we go here and we apply, see, now this guy's matching a little bit more what we have on the top. So you can really customize this, is what I'm trying to show. So we only have one handrail type. I still see these little guys here, which I don't want to. So let's see what we can do about that. So those are our balusters. And your balusters have like a system of how many like begin and end, a little bit like curtain wall. See, so you have like your railing, and you have like your balusters, like you have a lot of options here. So what I want to do is just get rid of my balusters. I do not want any balusters. So I'm going to come here and say that this guy is going to be, let me see, do I want to duplicate regular baluster, base, host, host? No, I don't want this. Justify beginning and center, each segment, break pattern of each segment. Where is my baluster excess length? Let's just get there you go, my post, sorry, main pattern. So we want to get rid of these guys. So I want to make it none. There you go, none, and then none. And when I do that, and I apply, and okay, and apply, that should get rid of all of my ballast. Why do I still have balusters? See, that's what I want. See that little handle there? That's all we need. Now, I don't know why I still get balusters. So like posts, sorry. Extend, tangent, angle, rail, left will mount. Is it this? No, it's not that. It is the baluster. It's this guy. You are my problem. Oh, there you go. You are none. Apply, okay, and then apply. There you go. Wow, look at that. Now, last thing that I need to fix is, as you can see, I cannot have a baluster that is being holden by the power of Christ. So I'm going to need to edit the path of that baluster. Also, my baluster right now is blocking my door. So this is going to be a quite customized baluster. Oh, I also have a little bit of an offset, which I do not like. So once again, offset from path 0. There you go. Now it's against the wall. Basically, I just really want the baluster here on the inside, to be honest with you. So I'm just gonna delete this guy. And then again, finally, yeah, that should be enough. Maybe code will give me some trouble, but like I'm fine with that. Let's extend this guy here. Let's extend that guy there. And that's it. That's how you can make your own custom stairs. It's exactly the same process for the second floor. Again, you start, you set it up, you create your opening. It's a little bit easier because you're only doing this opening here. And you can see that you have kind of like a traditional post baluster here, and then you can do the one attached to the wall on the other side. I'm not gonna bother you because I think this video has gone long enough, but at least now you can see that you can very much make a stair as custom as you want it. Okay, so with that, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned a lot. And otherwise, I will see you when I see you. Have a good one. Bye.